Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new Juju live session on one of the most exciting and I believe urgent themes, which is emotion in Egyptian dance and in Egyptian music. This is a theme that I have brought to the attention of students and colleagues and to our community in general, globally through the internet for the last years. I believe from the beginning of my career because it is that important. And I do know that it is a subject that is a taboo for a lot of you. It is a subject that is not comfortable for a lot of dancers. And it's certainly something that is not in fashion nowadays. But we're going to tackle all that. I'm going to bring our guest in, Mr. Jorge, and I'm going to welcome you into our live session. So feel welcome to drop your comments and your questions below this live, okay? Let me bring Mr. Jorge. ازيك يا أستاذ؟
هم يا فندم.
الحمد لله. تمام؟ رحت
تمام.
الكوافير؟
Haircut.
حلو.
I lost
جميل.
3 pounds.
okay. Nice. جميل. ازيك؟
Alhamdulillah. I had to
الحمد
switch the browser. It did not accept Safari. So I had to go
مفيش
to
مشكلة.
Google. So it took a while. Sorry about
مفيش
that.
مشكلة. أنت هنا وأنا مبسوطة. I'm
Allah
happy
يخليك.
for your presence once more. Thank you for inviting yourself in and joining our conversation on emotion in Egyptian dance and music. As usual, I have selected the most important, at least from my point of view, questions around this theme. And obviously, me and Mr. George are going to answer these questions. We are going to read your comments, your questions. If you drop them in the live session comment section, just drop your comments and your questions there if you're watching us live, and we will do our best. Now, before we start, as usual, presentations, we always have to present ourselves. So I'm going to pass the word. Let our viewers know who you are in case they don't know you yet, and why you think emotion is so important in Egyptian music.
Okay, I am your fabulous nerd. I'm crazy about music and Qanun and music history. So I spent the last maybe 55 years working on that subject. And emotion in music, Egyptian music is all emotion. You don't have paper and pencil and try to write music. It's all from your heart. And often it's sort of inspired by beautiful poetry. And this is why most of our music is really very, very vocal.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that emotion is also at the core of Egyptian culture and identity? What do you think?
Very emotional.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I've always seen a correlation between the role of emotion in Egyptian music, Egyptian dance, but also the role of emotion in Egyptian society and identity. Why the heart is so important, why expressing emotions is so important. It is a culture and a country where cinema, music, theater, poetry is popular, is part of people's lives. You know, when we talk about Kulthum, we always refer the fact that she's still listened to after so many years of passing, right? And it's not only because she was the best of the best musically, it's because she brought heart and soul into what she did. And not only her musicians as well, and everybody who worked with her, the poets, the composers, the orchestra, everybody was so united in this heart-centered creation that keeps on calling people nowadays.
Still, yeah.
Right? So I'm not going to present myself this time because most of the dancers who will listen already know me, or you have ways of knowing me. So I'm going to drop a link below so that you can know more about me if you want, because I am too anxious to drive deep into the subject right ahead. Alatul. Okay, we're not going to lose time. So I'm going to read the questions I selected. These are questions from students, some of them at Joana Saahirah's online dance school, other questions I collected throughout the years, people send them via email. Some questions I've received face-to-face in workshops. So it's very varied, but I do think they represent doubts that every Oriental dancer has. So hopefully they're gonna illuminate a lot of the dancers who will listen to us. First question I've already asked you, which is, what is the role of emotion in Egyptian music? And I thank you for your answer. In terms of dance, and this is a very personal opinion, and I do know not every Oriental dancer shares my opinion, but I'm going to give you what I believe. So I do think that emotion in Egyptian dance is the core.
Yeah.
I usually tell my students, especially the ones who are going to perform or want to perform or want to become professionals or want to take dance seriously in some way, I tell them you can kill yourself with the best choreography, the best technique, the best bedla, the best everything. If there is no heart, you are not doing Egyptian dance.
Exactly.
This is my opinion. This is my opinion. And it is personal. It is not a fact. It's just my opinion. But of course, it's an opinion that doesn't come from the sky. It's an opinion based on my experience as a professional dancer, my studies, etc. So I'm not taking this opinion out of thin air. Still, it's a personal perspective. I do think that Egyptian dance without true emotion, it's not fake emotion.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's also the question. There is also the question of fake emotion. I'm going to fake emotion. I'm going to fake that I'm feeling it. No, it has to be true.
It shows, yeah.
Because energy speaks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Energy speaks. You can pretend like you are suffering. But if you are not suffering, nobody will believe you because energy speaks, right? And in Egyptian dance, you are laughing, but I'm serious. I am serious, huh? In Egyptian dance, there is this novelty, this trend of I have seen it. Teaching dancers how to move or create postures to represent certain emotions. So there is the cliches of I am suffering, I am nostalgic, I am scared. You know, like I say, bad acting. It's not even acting, it's bad acting because not even actors do it like that. Actors make you believe it is true. Good actors make you believe they're not acting, you believe them. So it's not even acting, it's bad acting. So we're talking about raw, true emotion is, in my opinion, at the core of Egyptian dance. And what I see nowadays is that the technique has developed so much, choreography has developed so much, and that is beautiful and it's wonderful, very important. But along the way, the heart was forgotten. This is the problem. The problem is not in having better technique or better choreographies, which we do. We do nowadays have better technique and better choreographies, much more professional. But what happens when you are hyper-focused on technique and choreography and performance, but the heart is forgotten? This is the problem, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Now, second question, what is more important, technique or emotion? This is a question that was directed to me in relation to dance, but I will ask you in relation to music and dance because it applies to both.
Absolutely emotion. I mean, I know musicians who are, their technique is fantastic, but it does not touch you. It's not there. Composer who think with their head, very cerebral, and they compose, and it's not nice. It does not touch you. And I don't know if I told you that story from 1400 years ago in either Mecca or Medina. A famous composer came to visit the musicians, and a lot of them sang their compositions. But he said, no. Only this one is what I like. All of you sung from your head, but this guy sung from his heart. That's it. That's it.
Also, you can have musicians and dancers who are not very strong technically, but they compensate with talent and emotion.
Yes.
And, you know, that is very common in Egyptian dance, especially in the older generations where dancers were not trained as dancers. I'm talking about Fifi Abdu. I'm talking, you know, if you watch Fifi Abdu, I watched her live only once. at
Right.
the Ramses Theater in Ataba. I just by chance I was studying and I was searching for the uncle of Naim Akif. Oh my God, so famous teacher. Help me, Ibrahim Akif. I was searching for Ibrahim Akif. He was very sick at the time.
Yeah.
He was not teaching anymore. But in the coffee shop where I used to play shishbish, they told me he's not here, but why don't you go see a dancer in Ramses Theater? I did not understand why they're pulling me into Ramses Theater. Is Ibrahim Akif at Ramses Theater? I don't know, but I had nothing to lose, so I go. It was Fifiadu in a theater play with dance in the middle, and I was caught by surprise. I was mesmerized,
She's amazing.
not by her technique,
Her
by
emotion.
her emotion, by her charisma, by her energy, by her sensuality, by her creativity, by her confidence, not by her technique. But if you ask me, would you come and watch her again and again and again? Damn sure. I hope. I wish. You're it.
Yeah.
But not because she had great technique. I could count with the fingers of one hand how much dance vocabulary was there. Very basic, repetitive. But there was life.
Yeah.
There was life.
Yes.
And what happens nowadays is the opposite. Dancers are full of information. They are trained, even Egyptian dancers of this generation, even Egyptian dancers, very much, much more trained and prepared than previous generations, but they don't have
The emotion.
the emotion, the soul, the juiciness. They don't have, from my perspective. So technique or emotion?
Always emotion. Always.
More important,
Of
emotion.
course. Of course.
We are not saying that technique is not important. It is important. And if you can have both,
Yes.
perfect, amazing. But if we have to choose, the role of art can survive with weak technique. It cannot survive without emotion.
Exactly.
So,
Oh yeah.
Why has Egyptian dance lost all its emotion? You want to answer this one?
It could be they watch other cultures. They look at fusion, sort of different movement in dance that they incorporate in their dance. And fusion is hard. If it does not fit, it does not fit. If it fits, it's okay. Often it doesn't.
This is a question that I've been asked many times, and it is a question I reflected on many times also, because when you teach a generation of dancers who is in the midst of this trend of hyper focus in performance, hyper focus in competition, hyper focus on so many things that are not about the Egyptian dance that I know and love, I have to understand why they're there and why they're unable or in trouble when we work on emotional expression. For instance, when I tell a dancer, I need the emotion. Now make me feel something. They don't know how to do it. And I have to understand why they don't know how to do it. That's my job as a teacher. Because if I don't know why they cannot do it, I cannot help them solve the problem. If I don't know what is the problem, how can I help solve the problem?
Yes.
So I've always thought about this, and I've always talked to people and was curious and asked what's going on. And from my experience, I think there are different factors. One of them is collective. I think we nowadays live in a world that is shallower, faster, more technological, more disconnected. Everything is more machine-like and heading towards a machine-like world. And that is collective, that is generalized. Everybody is feeling it more or less. And I do think that that kind of life removes us from our heart, removes us from our emotional life. And if we are removed from our emotional life, when it comes to the moment of playing an instrument or dancing, There is no switch on and off. You cannot be disconnected and living in stress and living in speed and living in shallowness and competition and in this human disconnected society, and suddenly somebody tells you, now feel everything and make me feel everything. They don't know how. People don't know how, because they are not used to this anymore.
Yeah, and they're sidetracked by too much technique. I have a friend who's an amazing technique, and he has to change makam every few seconds. The result is awful. I mean, it's a great skill to do, but it does not touch you. It's not beautiful.
Yes,
No.
yes. You know, I tell you a story. At one time, I think I told you this story. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. At some point, my accordionist was sick in Egypt. In my orchestra, he was sick. He had to go to the mustashfa, to the hospital. So I had to find a replacement. My musicians were asking about. They always know other musicians. They say, Juju, I'm gonna bring my colleague. He's very good. He's the best. Da, 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 da. Okay, bring him. So they brought a replacement. Wonderful accordionist. Technically, 10 times superior to my accordionist. 10 times. Hands down.
Yeah.
I know. I listen and say, okay, yeah, technically. But he could not get close in terms of impact and in terms of the quality delivered. And he tried. And he was amazing, super professional, clean sound, incredible technique, and he did too much. Of course, too much, too much, too much. And then all over the place, beep, 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 beep. My head was like, you know, my God, bring my accordionist back soon. Not only because I wish him to recover his health, but because really I was desperate. And then when it came the time to bring my accordionist back, the replacement, who got along with me very well, like all the musicians got along with me, he asked me, Juju, I don't mean to disrespect my colleague, but why am I not staying? You know I am better than. And I had to tell him. And I was very honest with him. I say, technically you are better, but here and here and here, including emotion, I am sorry. And I am Magnuna, yani. I'm a crazy dancer. I like artists, yani, min ruh. You know, you can be the best technically, but you are not delivering what I need as a dancer. So
I'll be right back.
Go ahead. Now, while Mr. George is taking a pause, we are going to continue. And once again, I'm going to ask you to feel welcome to share your questions and comments, okay? If you have some, drop a comment in the comments area. Let us know where you are, how you are. Hi, Nuraya. Olá, São. Boa tarde. Drop a comment here, right here, and let us know if you have questions, but also what is your relationship with emotion? If it is easy for you or not to bring emotion into your dance and to express it. I would like to know your experience. Okay, now, meanwhile, I'm going to keep on reading the questions I have selected. Can I invest in my dance technique without investing in emotional expression? And what happens if I do that? So what happens, I think we've already introduced. When you invest in your technique only, and you forget about emotional experience and emotional expression, and these are two different things. Feeling it, feeling the music, feeling yourself, feeling the movement, feeling the moment, this is one thing. And expressing those things is another thing. So sometimes dancers, they feel it, but they cannot communicate the feeling. So that's another conversation. Now, what happens when we invest, we put all our eggs in one basket, the basket of technique, and we forget about emotional expression? What happens to the music? And what happens to the dance? When the musician is obsessed with technique and he forgets about emotion, what is the final result?
Can I take a minute and play a short prelude That's all beauty and emotion. And I'm using only two techniques. A bit of
Basit,
yeah,
basit,
plus-
simple.
yeah, a bit of
Please.
repeated note and a bit of tremolo. That's it. And it's so
Yalla
beautiful.
bina. Yalla bina.
Yeah,
Thank you.
give me a second.
Sure. While Mr. Jorge prepares himself, I will tell you in terms of dance, when you invest only in your technique, no emotion, you become dry. It's like sterile land. Nothing happens. You are making a big effort, and sometimes dancers are exhausted because they move too much, they make too much effort, they use too much vocabulary. There is an overload of effort, overload of physical action, overload of transitions and everything. So they're exhausted, as if they were trying to prove something, but the result is dry, sterile. Okay? Let's enjoy a little bit.
Okay, here's the
Yalla,
prelude.
yalla, yalla. Allah.
My
ايه
phone
الجمال ده؟
is going crazy.
ايه الجمال ده؟
Allah يخليك.
شكرا يا أستاذ.
This
So
is
beautiful.
from a collection by Sami Shawa, the violin player. I learned it from his CDs. You cannot find this music anywhere, and it's just so moving. You feel like crying. It's 100% emotion.
It's beautiful. You know, I think that we also confuse value with complication sometimes, and I find that both musicians and dancers, they think that they have to complicate in order to make something meaningful, in order to make something impressive, and sometimes the simplest
Yeah,
is the best.
of course. The less, the more, as they say in English.
Yes.
Less, the more. Yeah.
Yes. And it takes a lot of expertise and experience to make it simple.
Yeah.
Not easy and basic, simple, which is different. Easy and basic are one thing, simple is another thing. You can have something very sophisticated, very simple. You know, it's like filtered. Filtered.
Just enough. Don't
Just
add
enough.
more. Just enough.
Yes, the essential.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the essential.
Oh, yeah.
No accessories, no kalam
No, no,
fadi,
no.
no bullshit.
We
Just
don't-
the
we don't need
essential.
that, no.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that.
My
That
pleasure.
was a beautiful surprise.
Thank you.
Shukran. Beautiful. Okay. How can I connect to the music emotionally?
Don't use your brain, use your ears and your heart. Let the music tell you what to do. That's it. That's how if you have the dance or the high karaoke or something, and that's how they dance.
I would say, how can I connect to the music emotionally? I would say for sure it starts with listening, for sure. But I would also add not allowing our ego to get in the way.
Yes.
Because what happens is sometimes a dancer starts to listen and feel, but her ego or his ego gets in the way. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this impressive trick. Let's do that step. Let's do this. Let's control this process. Instead of letting go and allowing the music to guide them and tell them what to do. In order to surrender, you need to be humble. If you are too vain or too ambitious, you want to control. You want to control. I will do this step because it looks amazing. I will do that shimmy because people will be impressed. I will do this trick because it's really cool. I will do this, I will do that. It's all from here, and it's all about impressing others. It's vanity, it's ego. It's very different from listening,
Yeah.
losing all ambition.
Exactly.
No ambition. I am nobody. I disappear. I disappear. As a dancer, I disappear. And I allow the music to tell me where to go and how to go. And I don't know how this is going to end up.
And it shows in your dance.
But it is a little bit scary because again, we are not trained to dance without the ego in the way. And although I think that competitions are good in some aspects, I mean literal competitions, dance competitions that happen all over the world. I don't know if you've ever judged in one. Have you?
Yeah, if you.
I've judged in several dance competitions in some of the biggest markets of Egyptian dance, like Russia, where they do really huge competitions, like 4 days competition non-stop and big theaters, big production, really well done, very well organized, really well organized. Argentina, China, they're big markets with huge competitions, incredibly professional. But what I see is, although competition has a good side to it, it can stimulate students. It can give them a goal to work towards.
Yeah.
It elevates the level of the dance because it forces dancers to work and to upgrade themselves. There are positive aspects, but what competition does and has done is that it has created a mindset of competitive comparison, aggressivity in dancers' head.
I know.
That is always there. Even if dancers are not competing, they dance as if they were competing. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
Even if they're not in a literal competition, you can see the anger, the greed.
Yeah, and also worry.
And it stills the emotion. It stills the surrender. It stills the soul.
Yeah.
Because it becomes about being number one.
Yes.
My goal is being the best and smash the rest.
Yeah.
That's my goal, man. So, there is no space for heart. I'm being serious here. I'm laughing, but I'm being serious,
Oh, yeah.
So when dancers ask, how can I connect emotionally to the music? For sure, it starts in the ear. There is no doubt. But watch out, because so often you start listening and connecting, but your ego gets in the way.
Yes.
So you must train yourself to surrender, be a little bit more humble, understand that it's not about being the best or the worst. It's about being yourself and enjoying the experience to the fullest. Even if you are a professional, the best dancers, in my opinion, don't work to be the best. They work to be the best they can be for themselves because they have pride in what they do. But they don't dance thinking, I will beat this one and that one, and I will be better than this one or that one. No, the focus is in the art. The focus is in the expression. And by default, they become the best.
And if you're happy with yourself, it's important. You have to be happy with yourself. We had the series of workshops in 2019, and there was a dancer from Brazil. She won first prize and everything. Then she came to my place in the kitchen. She was not wearing the costume, just pants and a blouse. And I played Taksim and Lama Bada Tasanna. And she went to watch. She said, "This is so beautiful. Forget the theater. Forget the big lights. Forget the big orchestra. Everything here is so emotional and so humble." And it was her best experience, and mine too.
Yeah. But if someone is unable to do that in a kitchen,
yeah, exactly,
he will be unable to do it on stage with a big orchestra. You understand? Yep. It's the same person that really is at ease and will dance in a kitchen with nobody watching. it's the same dancer who will do a real good performance with big orchestra on stage, because the emotion, the love for the music, the love for the dance, the genuine heart is the same. If you don't have it in a kitchen, you will not have it in a big theater. So there is a lot to be said about what you just mentioned. I love that you have to be happy with yourself, also in the sense of being confident enough.
Yes.
Because very often what happens is the ego gets in the way, and it doesn't allow a dancer to connect emotionally, because dancers are insecure.
I mean, all artists are insecure, which is good.
But I mean, humans will always be insecure. All
Yeah.
of us are insecure at some point, but I mean extra insecurity.
Yeah.
Extra insecurity. Yeah. What do I mean by this? I have my insecurities, right? And I have the bad days, good days.
Yes.
But I am very secure in what I do, because I know myself, I know my education, I know my experience, I know my talent.
Yeah.
So that I have no doubt. And I am comfortable with who I am. I'm not trying to be something else or more than. I am totally proud and comfortable with who I am. So I can let go of my ego. I have no problem. I don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Perhaps I have needed it when I was insecure, immature,
Yeah.
unprepared, but I don't need it anymore.
Good.
Okay. So the problem is when dancers are not totally satisfied and confident in themselves as a person more than anything else, the ego will always get in the way.
Yes.
And that is a problem, because where there is ego, there is no heart.
Yes, exactly.
So guys, watch out for that. Next, does emotion slow you down as a performer? I love this question. Does emotion slow you down as a performer?
Well, you can take it in many ways. Emotion, when you play with emotion, you should not play fast. Try to stick to the tempo or the slower tempo. On the other hand, people say too much emotion, then you're not interested to have techniques. So that's fine with me. Forget the techniques. For me, it doesn't matter. I don't know if I answered your question.
This question comes in the context of, for instance, when I'm training dancers for a performance, or a specific dancer for a performance, there is this idea that if you work on the emotion, and if you slow down in terms of focusing on how it feels, as opposed to focusing on how many movements and steps you will do, that will slow you down as a performer. It will make the performance boring, a little less engaging, a little less artistic. There is this idea, and I do think this question it comes from this realm. One thing that I usually teach students when we're working on emotional expression is, there is no doubt emotion slows you down, and all you got to do to understand is, in our daily lives, when we're having a strong emotional experience, we're usually not running the marathon. What do I mean by this? Human beings slow down when they feel deeply. You just have to remember, every time you felt deep emotion, deep sadness, deep moment of joy, you were not running, and you were not juggling many things and doing the flick and the flack. You slowed down. It's like life is put on pause almost.
Good.
Emotion takes time. I'm feeling it. I cannot feel it deeply and run all over the place and do 1,000 things. It is not compatible. So when I tell this to dancers, they get scared. What do you mean emotion slows me down? It requires, I mean, because it is a fact. You just have to observe.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean that it slows you down as a performer in a negative sense, that it makes your performance more boring or less engaging? In my opinion, if the emotion is genuine, and if there is a good balance between movement and stillness, emotion makes your performance more engaging, not less.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But the stuff is so subtle. People don't see it. People who don't know the culture, who have not practiced enough, don't realize the subtleties that emotion brings to the dance or to the music. It's very subtle, very subtle.
It is. It is. Also, from my experience, and I don't know if you feel the same or not, from my experience as a performer, the number one thing that engages audience is not how I'm dressed or the quality of my technique. It's the emotional experience I provide.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
This is the number one thing that engages an audience from my experience as a performer. I don't mean that I don't need great technique. We still do. Because sometimes when when I speak about this, people understand or they want to distort. They say, oh, Joana says we don't need technique. It's only motion. That's not what I'm saying, people. That's not what I'm saying. We do need technique and we do need good posture and nice bed and good presentation and knowing how to present yourself and eventually a high quality choreography or improvisation. We need that. But what I'm saying is, aside from all of that, and at the top of that, you need emotion.
Yes.
Emotional connection to the music, to yourself, to the movement, to the moment, and an open heart.
What I would add, for the emotion to come to the fore, you have to have complete control of your technique. So you don't think of technique anymore, and just everything is emotion.
Exactly. But this is one of the things I tell, when dancers ask me, Joana, but in practical terms, what do I do to bring more emotion? I tell them something that is a bummer for a lot of dancers, which is work on your technique. Ah, but you said technique is not that important. I say, no, wait. Because you still need technique. So
Oh, yeah.
you work on the technique so that you can forget about technique and you have space to feel.
Exactly. Very well said.
I am not saying that you don't need technique or no. I'm saying work on your technique so that you don't have to think about it. Because what happens is dancers go on stage and instead of feeling, you can watch them thinking, what do I do next? What was that movement? They're in mental effort,
Yeah.
trying to do their homework on stage.
And it shows.
And it shows,
They're
absolutely.
not relaxed.
Yes. I tell them, do your homework, not on stage. Off stage. Work on your technique, practice, drill, repeat, polish, correct, study, off stage. When you are on stage, it's not a classroom, it's a stage. I want to be in front of a performer, not a student trying to remember her technique.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
that in the proper place. And then there is space to feel. I tell you another story. When I was working with Mahmoud Reda, and I was working on new choreographies that I was going to teach with him. And I've told this story recently at the school. I don't remember in which class. There were always three different phases of my work with him. The first phase was him teaching me the choreography, because very often I was the one explaining the movements in class. So he was there giving directions, but I was the one doing the choreography, explaining the steps. So I had to know very well so that I could explain. And I had to know his way because that was his work, not mine. So the first stage was Mahmoud going detail, explaining me everything about the choreography so that I understand everything that we're doing. First stage. Second stage, I tell him, Mahmoud, go away, because now I'm going to repeat this 100 times and it's going to be so boring. Very often he would say, no, I'm staying. He would sit down, grab a cup of tea, say, no, I want to watch you. And he would watch me repeat and again and again. And I, Mahmoud, go away. This is so boring. It was so sweet. He said, no. I will watch and I watch you repeat. No problem. Don't worry about me. I repeat so that my memory catches everything. My muscle memory has the choreography. Third stage, I would bring emotion into the place because I did not have to wonder, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? What is the next step? What is the next movement? I already knew. I had done my homework.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I could do the choreography in my sleep by then. So I could feel the music, I could feel the movements he had choreographed. I could bring the choreography to life.
Yeah.
Not before. I knew what I was doing and I memorized it by repeating it, sometimes literally dozens, hundreds of times. I don't know. I don't know if today also dancers don't have patience for this. You know, would you spend an entire day repeating the same choreography again and again and again and again? I did. And for me, it was normal. It was always normal. It's still normal. I don't know. But one thing is for sure, if you're still thinking about technique or about the next step, you're not going to feel it. Your brain is engaged, not your heart.
Yeah.
So when dancers ask, but what do I do to bring more emotion? Sometimes I think perhaps they're expecting a magic formula, a special trick. And when I tell them work on your technique, it goes like wow, 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 wow. I say, well, really? Is that it? But you're talking about emotion. Why should I work on my technique? Yes, because then you don't think about your technique. You have space to feel. Okay, let me see what our dancers are sharing. I know that some of you had already said hi. I did not want to break the flow of our conversation, but here we go. Hi, Jamila. Oh, they loved your performance, Mr. George. So beautiful, says Nuraya. Good morning, Jamila. Beautiful, such longing, says Jamila. And Jamila shares with us, I'm going to read. What affects me so much from the competitions one sees is that it can be so hurtful to students who are already insecure. Yeah. Yes. The competitors are focused on the aspect of competition and are hardened to critique, but insecure dancers can be literally destroyed, antithesis of what dance should be. Okay, Jamila, I love what you share. And there are a couple of things here. So I don't know what Mr. George thinks about this. Hi, Jihan. One thing is for sure, I would not bring an insecure student of mine into a competition. If an insecure dancer tells me, Joana, what do you think? And they have done so. Sometimes people ask me, do you think I should compete? And if you are not secure, and if you're not able to handle constructive criticism, it's not a good idea because it can really mess up your mental health. It can mess up your self-confidence. It can destroy your love for the dance. I've seen dancers who quit dance after they lost in a competition, in a dance competition. So if you are insecure, if you are not confident in yourself and in your dance, and if you are unable to receive constructive criticism that can help you improve, if that is too much for your ego, maybe this is not the right format or it is not the right thing yet. I have been in competitions as a judge where I've offered and my colleagues have offered valuable feedback to the competitors, especially to the ones who have lost. And some of them have made incredible things out of that feedback. So I don't think that is wrong for everybody. I do think, and I agree with Jamila, if you are insecure or unable to receive criticism in the best possible way, constructive criticism, then this is not for you or it is not for you yet. Okay? I do think that competitions can be stimulation. They can stimulate dancers to work. I have prepared dancers for competitions in private coaching, for instance, and I can see them working so hard and upgrading themselves and pushing themselves in a way they wouldn't do if they did not have that competition at that day, at that time. So it can have positive sides to it, but it can definitely destroy you mentally and destroy your love for the dance if you're not ready for it. Okay, it's hard. It's hard. What do you think, Mr. George?
Yeah. I hate anything that brings panic. Panic, you just completely seize, you're paralyzed. And you don't feel your legs, you don't feel your arms. I don't feel my fingers playing the canoe. It's the worst. Panic is the worst. Stage fright is terrible. So the best is to forget competing. Be yourself, dance like you are beloved by the audience because you do what's in your heart. Keep that in mind, and you'll be a very good dancer. And it just
And
says
also
yourself, yeah,
enjoying the performance for you, right? Because I think that sometimes the spirit is, I'm going to do something so that others can enjoy and clap and approve of and appreciate. But the question is, what is your experience when you're performing? May that be in a competition or in a show. Are you enjoying yourself?
oh yeah. The reason is I only play music I like. I don't play music I don't like. Period. Forget it. I don't need the money. I need the
But
enjoyment.
my point, my point is, you would think this doesn't exist, but it does, and many dancers don't even notice it. They go on stage in the context of competition or a regular performance, and they don't have a good time. They don't have a good time. They
There's no,
are tense, they are under pressure, they are anxious, they're insecure, they want to do something good, they want to receive the applause, they're looking outwards in search of some kind of approval, and you can
acceptance. Yeah,
clearly tell they're not enjoying themselves.
yeah.
And I say, why? If you're not enjoying yourself, why would you put yourself in this situation? Life is hard enough as it is. There are, really, there are so many things as adults we cannot escape. Life can be hard and it's challenging. You cannot escape. Why would I willingly put myself in a situation where I'm going to suffer? I'm not saying that we should run away from challenges. And performing is challenging on different levels, but it must be pleasurable for the dancer, for the performer, for the musician. If you are not enjoying yourself, if it's only pressure, anxiety, stress, why are you doing that? And you have no idea how many dancers are doing it without enjoying themselves. And that kills emotion, that kills soulfulness,
Everything.
it kills joy,
Sees.
it kills the performance,
Yeah.
because the audience can feel if you're not enjoying yourself, and that's a killer, that's a deal breaker. You need to enjoy yourself, and mostly it's a waste of your time,
Yep.
it's a waste of your life, that you are going through an unpleasant experience and you could be doing something else, reading a book or something, I don't know.
I wrote something for you guys. It's on my website. It's free, and it's the aesthetic of dance from 9th century, 10th century Baghdad. This is the
Oh,
Bible
yeah.
of dancing. So you go to my website, then go to the Dancer's Corner, and you find a lot of material.
I am going to share the link of the Dancer's Corner in the
Sure.
comments below the video, okay?
Good, good, good.
So that they can go directly there. Mhm. Let me see. Hi, Dana. Jamila is saying, yes, I believe it depends much on the sponsors. Do they just have money in their eyes, or are they truly interested in advancing the dance? Okay, Jamila talking about the sponsors, the organizers, right? From my experience, Jamila, I'm going to be very honest as usual. I've worked with incredible festival organizers. And if we're talking about competitions, from what I remember, and I'm being totally honest, I'm not being diplomatic, okay? I'm not diplomatic, never. So I've never worked that I remember with organizers of competitions who are only thinking about the money, or no, they're always thinking, at least the ones I've worked with, from my perspective, they really want to provide an experience to their dancers, to their participants, and they want to advance the dance. I've worked side by side with incredible judges, very well crafted criteria of judging, a criteria that helps the dancers. In some countries, they offer feedback to the dancers who win and the dancers who don't win, meaning that the dancers can come and speak with the judges and see their sheet of judgment, and see the punctuation and ask, why did I have a low punctuation here? Why did I have this punctuation there? And they can receive feedback from the judges, which is incredibly useful. So my experience from that point of view is very positive. It's not about the business. From my experience, I'm not saying there isn't an event organizer who's not thinking only about money. Perhaps there is. I've never met him, not that I remember. Okay. It's just that competition is hard also, guys. Let's be honest. Competition is hard. You have to work your ass off, and you have to push against other dances, and see yourself evaluated by a group of people. And it's hard to evaluate art. It's hard to judge art. It is challenging for the judges and for the ones competing. Let me see what else we have here before we move forward. um, I'm happy to hear that your experiences have been positive. Yes, in that aspect they have been, for sure. Hi, Dana. I'm going to read what Dana is telling us. Hello, dear teachers. Here's my question about the competitions. I think that the nature and essence of Oriental dance has nothing to do with competing with others. This way, I think that an Oriental dance competition and the dancers who are in it go away from the essence of the dance. What do you think, Mr. George?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I agree.
So
I also
many dancers in North America think, oh, Fifi Abdi doesn't do much. So Hirzaki doesn't do much. We are much better. We do this and that. I said, yeah, but what is the feeling? It's not the techniques, how you use the techniques to show what's in your heart. And remember Hirzaki. She said, belly dancing is the body way to smile. So think of happiness. Think of your body smiling. But forget the bloody techniques. I mean, have the techniques to be in control, but then let everything else fly now. Let the emotion come to the surface.
there is also, something that Egyptian dance is so identity oriented, in the sense that there is no dancer alike. And this is why it's hard to judge it. From the perspective of the judge, it is difficult. I mean, it depends. If we have criteria like I've had in the competitions that I was, let's say, one of the criteria technique, another criteria quality of choreography, another criteria visual presentation, bedline, hair, and props and whatever. Another criteria engagement with the audience. Another criteria emotional expression. I mean, if the criteria are well organized, it becomes easier to judge. But in the end of the day, every dancer is unique. It is realistically impossible if you have two dancers who have the same skills and incredibly talented. Let's say Suherzaki, Nagua Fuad. Can you tell who is the best? I can't. I can tell you which one I prefer personally, but it's not the same as she's the best. I prefer because I connect more with one than with the other, but they're so unique, they're so different. They're both extremely talented, they're both extremely knowledgeable, great musicality, great this, great that, but they are very unique. So it's like comparing an orange with an apple. You end up not knowing how to do this because an apple is an apple and an orange is an orange. They are unique. They have their own unique identity. So Egyptian dance, being a language of identity, becomes not natural to the context of competition.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awkward.
Very
It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. It's
I'll send you one or two things from my book. When an old lady singer was asked to judge a competition, and she said something very much of what you said. Like, each has his own style, and it's very hard to compare. I'll send it to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will be happy to share it if you allow me.
Of course.
If you allow me, okay? All right, let's go for our last question. I kept it short this time. It's just that we start talking and talking, we don't stop. Okay, is there a trick or technique for more emotion in my dance? What should I do in order to inject emotion into my movements? What do you think?
I don't know because I'm not a dancer.
Aren't you?
This is
Aren't
something.
you?
I dance with my eyebrows.
I rest my case. I knew you had that skill. You are being humble. Okay. Is there a trick? There is no trick. I don't like the word trick because trick always drives me into this smart ass thing. You know, I don't like smart ass. I like intelligence, which is a very different thing. So being smart ass is one thing. Being intelligent is a very different thing. A technique to bring more emotion into my dance. I think we've partially answered this. As Mr. George was saying in the beginning of the session, the first thing you do in order to bring emotion into your movements, into your dance, is to connect emotionally to the music. It all starts there. If you skip that, you are already starting handicapped.
Mm.
So from the beginning, Yanni, from the beginning, first you connect to the music. My students also know this. When I was performing with my musicians and also with musicians who are not my musicians in different events, I always have this habit of never starting a musical piece right ahead moving. With my orchestra in Cairo was even worse. I would give my back to the audience, stay in front of my musicians, feeling them, looking at their face, feeling them. I would let them play a little bit, close my eyes, breathe, listen, feel them. Maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, I don't move. I just listen. I want to feel them. I want to see what's going on emotionally, energetically. When I feel something moving inside me, you know, like the movement wants,
Yeah.
I turn to the audience and I dance.
Beautiful.
I always do this, always do this. Not because somebody told me to do this, but because I know the result is much better. Because you are already in the flow of the music. You are already in the flow of the emotion of that music. So your movements come from a place that is already exploding with emotion.
Yeah.
You don't move compulsively. As soon as I start listening, yalla, I have to do something. This compulsion, this rush, is enemy to emotion. If you take time to listen and then react, the movement comes immersed in the emotion. So this is important. Also important what we mentioned of removing the ego out of the way so that you can surrender and see where the music takes you. Okay, very important to surprise yourself. Let's see where this is gonna take me. I don't know because I'm not in full control. Also what we mentioned, work on your technique so that you can forget about your technique. You don't have to think about it.
Also, there is something people never talk about: the facial expression. It's not. I mean, you can dance with your head, yeah, with your eyebrows, maybe, but also what? But the facial expression, you're happy to be dancing. You're happy to be with the audience. So that is a very important thing. People look not only at the body of the dancer, but her face too. Don't forget that.
I tell my students when they're preparing to perform, everybody, and that means me and you, everyone, looks primarily and essentially to the face.
Should.
Because we are humans, and this is how we communicate. It's not fancy, we don't notice it, we just do it.
Yeah.
And if the dancer is killing it from here below, but the face is dead, It's not going to work.
La musica. God,
Dead,
finished.
dead. This is dead. From here, everything is working. From here, everything is dead.
Bad.
It's not going to work. So you can always tell if a dancer is engaged with the music and emotionally.
Yeah.
Through the
Facial
face.
expression, very important.
Very,
Very.
very. And everything you carry within, because you can see it in the eyes.
Yes.
Real emotion, you can feel it in the eyes. Thoughts, you can see it in the eyes.
Of course, of course.
Sensations, you can see it in the eyes. You cannot lie.
You may lie with your speech, but your eyes don't lie. Be careful.
The eyebrow specialist knows best. Exactly. Oh God. Exactly. وحشتيني يا أستاذ جوجو.
I have to tell you, I was in a French school, and this our French teacher was very pretty, and I was probably 6 years old, if not younger. And I went to the Arabic movies, and when there is somebody beautiful, you go like this to her. So I went like this to my French teacher, and bah, she slapped me on my face. She does not
Oh,
understand
that's so good.
culture.
Oh.
Understand the culture, yeah. Too strict.
You were being naughty, yeah?
Oh, from the day I was born. I haven't changed.
As a baby, you were already.
I was, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
As a baby, yes, for sure. So it is so important, the face, because the face reveals what you're feeling and if you are feeling it. And there is something also very interesting that you said, that is the joy. And I think dancers also confuse, because there are two layers of emotion for an Oriental dancer. One layer is the pure joy of dance. And this is what I was saying. If you're not enjoying yourself, why are you doing it on stage? If anxiety, stress, pressure is heavier than your joy, why are you doing it? I mean, is someone pushing you to do it? Why? So you must enjoy yourself.
yeah.
Even if it's challenging, and it is, even if it is scary and it has adrenaline, and a little bit of stress, of course, but you should enjoy yourself. So that joy, that pleasure must be seen here. We must feel the pleasure of the dancer here. Above this basic layer of pleasure, there is the emotional experience of the music.
Yes.
So there are two layers. My enjoyment of the experience should always be there. Otherwise, why do it? Okay. The second layer, what is the emotional experience I am going through right now? Because it's not the same to dance Lessa Faker by Kulthum or a happy, light, shallow pop song. It's not the same experience. It's not the same to dance a Saidi piece or to dance a Nubian piece. They are different emotional experiences. And I must go on those specific rides, on those specific adventures. But at the base, I should not be dead in my face. Because if I'm dead in my face, it means I'm dead inside. I'm only focusing on what I'm doing with my body, but the face is either dead or thinking about the next step. And you can see the dancer thinking. You can see, she's thinking or he's thinking. No. So always you are caught by the face. I don't mean to scare you or to creep you, but it is true. Yes. Look at the dancer's face. And you will know everything you need to know about that dancer. Even if the movement is perfect, look at the face. Look at the eyes. Yani, is she really? Is she leaving it or not? Look at the face. It is a reflection of your emotional life or a lack of. So super, super important. Let me see if we have more comments or questions from our students. By the way, guys, I'm launching now a new course, Fiumu Leila, Dancing Love, about Warda Jazaireia and emotional expression and dancing love. For the ones who want to join us, I will invite you to do so. I will share the link in the comments. so that you can check it and join us. Let me see what's here. Jamila says naughty. I presume she was talking about you.
Yep.
For sure. You were very confident. Yes, she was. I know it. Yep. That's me. It could be me. No?
No.
It could be me. No. Okay. We're very confident that it's you. Okay. Uh, Nureya says, my first teacher always said, open your heart and share it. Beautiful. Open your heart and share it. Absolutely. Is there anything else, a final thought, a final message that you would like to share with our viewers about the role of emotion in Egyptian dance music?
Absolutely. Please read that passage of Masoudi, because it talks a lot about facial expression, but also the joy as you practice, the joy as you prepare the choreography, the joy as you change it and you're creative during the performance. Joyfully seeking, he says. Don't forget this. Please read it carefully and feel free to translate it to your friends. It's free, it's on my website. It's all there. And it's
Did
just
you say joyfully seeking?
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. So guys, what I'm gonna do is I am going to bring that link out of Mr. George's website, the Dancer's Corner. I am going to post the link either in the comments to this video or in the description box if you watch this video at my YouTube channel. Okay. You're also going to find the link of my new online course, Fio Mulela, Dancing Love. This is only for intermediate and advanced dancers, not for beginners. So if you are a beginner or if you haven't done Egyptian dance yet, this is not for you yet. I'm going to post these two links. And anything else you would like to add, Mr. George, before I close?
I would like to show you a lovely photo of a mural from medieval Iraq.
Okay.
And they didn't have the concert in sort of still modern style. You have the stage here and the audience sitting there. The audience and the musician and the dancer were one compound, not complex. They sat together, they ate together, and they drank together. And here you have a photo of two dancers. Oh, sorry.
There.
And you see the food, like the fruit, the basket full of fruit here. And you have the flask of wine pouring. You have an idea about the dress and the body of the dancer, narrow waist, which is supposed to be good quality, and long bottom of the dress. When you turn, it flies up in the air. And they're pouring wine to the audience. So it's a party. It's not a concert. It's not a stale concert. It's the audience and the musician and the dancer sitting together doing something beautiful.
Wow, that's so nice.
Isn't it?
Thank you. Yes.
We have lost so much with this modern, stage here, and the audiences. There is no connection. But the Egyptian consume, they will stop her and repeat this, repeat that, and yell and scream because in the old days they sat together, but here they're separate. But the Egyptian have a way to break all the rules.
In Egypt, you still have the format of proximity.
Yes.
All the years I performed in Egypt, even in weddings, in big weddings, sometimes I had stages, but usually we would be, if not very close to the audience, surrounded by the audience.
Yes.
In some weddings, the audience invades the space. I had in Mena House, in front of the Giza pyramids, I remember one specific wedding where I was performing with not only my orchestra, it was a bigger orchestra because we had a big budget. So I decided, okay, I'm going to bring more Kanun, I'm going to bring Kanangeti, not only my basic orchestra, but I asked for reinforcement. And we had a huge group and beautiful space, but the audience was around us. I mean, there was no barrier. And they invaded the stage. My musicians had to carry me in their arms. Juju, yeah, Juju. It was hilarious. I was a little bit awkward because my space was being invaded.
Yes.
women coming, dropping flowers on my bedla, trying to kiss me,
Yes.
hug me.
So
I say, oh
powerful.
my God, how am I gonna dance? For me, it was a little bit awkward, but I was gonna do it.
It's beautiful.
I
Beautiful.
was gonna do it because I did not feel threatened or insecure. I understood they were doing it out of love, but my musicians were scared, they because they're protective. So they're not used to seeing people touching me, and so they no. They drop their instruments, they carry me out of that because they the Nes Magnona, they're crazy. What
Well,
they're doing,
it happened to me before one time. The guy loved my canoe playing so much, he came and took my hand and kissed it, but I couldn't play anymore because he removed my hand. What can you do? You just have to go along with it.
so good. I imagine your face. I am sure your face was not dead. It was not that. You must have been thinking, oh my God, how am I going to play? And that's crazy. Yeah. But that proximity
Yeah.
changes everything. And I do think that would be a subject for another conversation. But I do think that physical proximity helps emotional expression and emotional communication
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
because we feel each other's energy. The audience can see your face, they can see micro expressions, they can feel your energy more. The more distant we are, the more difficult it is to project. When I left Egypt and I started to travel and to perform without my musicians in big theaters with CD, I remember I went through a nervous breakdown.
Really? Wow.
I was like, oh, because I was doing it in a very different format for 8 years.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I see myself alone, very
Scary.
often in a big stage with
Yeah.
CD. I say, I don't know how to do this. Really, I'm not being spoiled or anything. I don't know how to do this. This will be a disaster. Everything is so empty. And I felt they were not there with me, because I was so used to having
The
my
orchestra.
musicians here, their
Yeah.
presence, and CD. Máquina, yani there is a machine playing the music. I was not used to it. And people were too distant from me.
Yes.
I was convinced it would be a disaster. Say, how am I going to do this? I don't know how to do this because people are too far away. So what I usually did in my despair, at least in the transition phase, I got out of the stage and I danced amongst the people. At least I had them close to me. I
Yes.
was still dancing with CD, but I needed to feel human presence, because it
Very
is too
important.
cold,
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
distance,
Oh, yeah.
too cold. Okay, guys, I know that this is fun, and it is always wonderful to talk with you, Mr. George.
My
It
pleasure.
is such a pleasure. You already know that. I'm not telling you anything new. Let me see final comments, guys. And if you have a question or a comment, this is it because we're gonna close. And let me read what's here. Even though I'm no longer religious, I'm very spiritual still. This particular passage speaks to me about the topic we are talking about. First, or 1 Corinthians 13, 11, 12, New King James Version. And it says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now, we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know, just as I also am known. I'm sure the Quran, the Torah, etc., have similar passages. Yes, I love that Jamila is bringing the question of the child to the theme, and this innocence, this freedom of children that we as adults tend to lose. I think that the creative path is a path of recovering our childhood in so many ways, and the freedom that we had in our childhood, and the boundless imagination we had in childhood.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I thank you for that, Jamila. It's a beautiful passage, and I do agree. There is a connection between the freedom and the innocence and the purity of heart of children and emotional expression and creative expression. Mr. George, we are
Yeah.
going to close.
All right. Great
Thank
pleasure,
you.
as usual.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
A big kiss. I'm going to share the page of your website in the comments right now so that they can check it.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Sure.
It's short, but
Along,
packed. Lots of information there. Every sub-sentence says something.
okay. Perhaps we'll do something about it. I will talk with you soon. For now, I'm going to share it because you mentioned it and I want people to have the opportunity to read it. But then give me a little bit of time and we will talk again. Thank you so much. Once again, it was a pleasure. Guys, I will leave you the invitation to check Fiu Mulela, Dancing Love about the Warda. We are going to launch it publicly very soon. It's already at our school available. I'm also going to share the link below this video. I'm going to invite you to join us anytime soon. And I will see you soon, Mr. Jorge, at our course, Rhythms for Oriental Dances.
Yep.
Until then, receive my love and my kiss. Mwah.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.